everybody, welcome back. This is some divorce drama that left me speechless, which is pretty hard to do because I don't know when to shut up. All of these are from the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex or his parents we are still living in our hometown after he cheated and left us to move into the woods with his boyfriend? All rise for the Honorable Judge Charlotte. I'm sorry in advance. This is going to be a long post, but I could really use some unbiased advice. So the backstory. Context. My ex, 27 male, let's call him Jim, and I, 30 female, met around 8 years ago. We dated for 8 months, then got married, and we were married for about 7 years. When I met him, he was Republican, raised Christian, and besides being really lazy, we never had an issue. His family was very friendly and active in our lives. Family. We met when we were both serving in the Navy, and when he got out, I supported him while he flipped through school, hopping from career idea to career idea until he found one he liked. It took quite a few years. During our marriage, we had 2 kids. Let's just call them Jack and Jill for fun. Jack would be 5, almost 6 years old right now, and Jill just turned 4, so both very young.
I'm a little baby.
When Jack was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with autism, nonverbal but fairly high functioning. And my ex's overall withdrawal from interactions with him should have been my cue to say adios. But I figured he would mature with age. Okay, so I'm assuming you're getting to the fact that your husband is not very active in your children's lives. Around the time our oldest was turning 4, I got out of the Navy and became a stay-at-home mother with our special needs child being my job, if you will. Even though I was still making the same amount of money as Jim, I was doing all of the child work and housework on my own. He got a dog that he refused to brush, so it became my job.
Oh, no. You're kidding me.
It was a Malamute, so it was a job of its own. This thing? Yeah, I see where you're going with this. So you spent a lot of time on that, I'm assuming. But you get the point. Overall, extremely lazy and terrible with money. At this point, it's kind of like, what the fuck are you married for? If you have to do everything yourself. We bought a house, and 20 days after we closed, the pipes burst, flooding the entire house. It was a 1-story home, so we were devastated. But I put the $23,000 on my credit card to fix it because I had 2 kids and running water is very nice. Did he help? You guessed it. No. It followed on me for the 2 years we lived there. Basically, I married a man-child and everyone saw it but me. Ooh, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Now, as unhelpful as he was, his family was so nice. They immediately accepted me in, and since I don't have any family, it really meant a lot to me. His dad was a strong military man and had been in the Marine Corps for about an eternity, and his mom had little jobs to pass the time, but was so nice. She noticed the signs of Jack's autism and kept up with things once he had the diagnosis. She would call and check up frequently to chat and check in. We spent every holiday possible with them. He had a sister that I grew very close to, and it was going great. They would give Jim advice on how to help more, and he would take it for about a week, then slide back into my 3rd child position. Overall, I was content with life. I'm sorry, but nobody wants to be married to a child. I'm just saying, like, you're not a baby, you're a man. If your partner doesn't help you with things and make your life better in some way, then what is the point? Like, you're literally single. You're single, babes. You've been single. Now, to the storm. 6 months before my marriage imploded, Jim started to change, and I mean in every way. He went from smoking meat at least twice a month and eating meat with every meal to being a vegetarian. He went from Republican to liberal, from supporting the police to hating them. He went from making fun of holistic practices to carrying around crystals, and he truly believed he was a witch. I mean, I can't fault him for that. I'm also a witch. Each change was a month apart, roughly. So I would barely have time to wrap my head around one major life change before he hit me with another. He went from never doing fun stuff to getting a medical card and growing Mary Jane inside our home. This was only an issue because of Jack and Jill. Toward the end, he had a long conversation with me about exploring his sexuality. Now, he was the father of my children and he was having some serious medical health concerns, so I got him into therapy out of my own pocket. He went to therapy and basically, he came out as bisexual. I helped him come out to his family. I held his hand while he cried, and over the last couple months, I got him back on his feet and ensured he didn't lose his job. You're too good for this, man. Imagine what you could do with all that energy or put into someone who didn't take you for granted. At this point, I was thinking he would just want to co-parent together and be civil, but then his boyfriend showed up. Long story short, I caught him cheating with this guy a week after I had given him an out of the marriage, and he said he did not want to leave. So you did all of this for this man, and he still cheated on you?
It's a cheat day.
Quote, we were soulmates, and he just wanted to know all of who he was and all that. Now, his mother and sister both told me that he was more than likely cheating on me and that this had been a previous issue. After I caught him, he came to me and told me he didn't want to be a father anymore, especially to a child as broken and damaged as Jack.
That's kind of messed up.
Snip, snip. Cut him loose. Cut him loose. Yes, I recorded that whole conversation, and yes, I immediately kicked him out. He did not fight me on anything, gave me the house, signed over the kids, and quit his job and moved into a tent in the woods with his boyfriend. Okay. They hopped from campground to campground, but more on that later. I had to sell the house. I could not afford the entire mortgage on my own with the debt I had on my shoulders from the house. So with nothing but my pure depressed determination, we got the house fixed up, ripped up the flooring and put new flooring in the bedrooms and painted a bunch of other things. I had friends come and help on weekends, but I made a really good profit off of that house. I had to move a couple states away with a friend to get back on my feet. They lived in the middle of nowhere and there were no services out there for Jack. I knew I couldn't stay there. So remember Jimmy the hippie? Him and his boyfriend broke up after 3 months while I was staying with my friend and had to retreat out of the woods. I heard he got a job, I don't know where, and he found a place. I don't know where. He changed his phone number and I don't have that either. I had given him my number and the address of my friend, so they knew where we were for emergency purposes. His parents texted my new number and told me they had to support Jim. If he didn't want to be in our lives, neither did they.
What the hell?
His mother told me they didn't want any photos or videos, did not want to speak to us, and would put a birthday and Christmas money into an account for them when they turned 18. His sister has blocked me on everything, and aside from paying not nearly enough in child support, I haven't heard from him either. We've just went through Jill's birthday and Christmas and New Year's with not one word from anyone about our well-being. While writing this, it's been 7 months in Ghost City. Wow. Wow. I don't understand why they cut you out of their lives when the only reason why you're not with your husband, I'm sure you would be with your husband, but he cheated on you. What did you do and what did your children do to deserve that? I don't get it. So after staying with my friend and paying all of my debt, good for you, and shooting my credit score to the moon, I moved back to our home state. I found a place to rent in an amazing school district for Jack, got back on my feet, and finally found my peace. See what you can do with all that misplaced energy? I'm proud of you. I reconnected with an old Navy friend who's been helping us a ton and treats me like an actual queen, though we're taking it very slowly. Jack is in school and talks a little bit more every day, and Jill is living her absolute best life. We finally have the life we should have had so long ago, and I'm exceptionally proud of both my kiddos. I've learned a lot about narcissistic people and how best to avoid them in life. That being said, I didn't tell anyone about my new address because I figured if they wanted to know, they would ask. His grandmother has been the only one on my side, and I've kept her fully informed. But other than that, I'm letting them have their, quote, space. So am I the a-hole for not telling them my new address? No. What do you mean? The people that told you that they want nothing to do with you. You're wondering if you're an a-hole for not keeping in touch with the people that literally don't want anything to do with you or your kids that they are related to? Hell no! Something tells me that they're gonna come out of the woodwork, especially if you're doing well and they see that. I'm blown away. Honestly, just keep living your best life, because I think that them coming back into your life and like telling them where you are and all that stuff, telling them where your kids are, maybe you want your kids to like know their dad or something, but it seems like you're doing really great without them. Why mess with that? You know? All Jimmy the hippie did is stress you out and cause you more work than you could handle and money. He cost you a lot of money. I think that his family made it very clear they want nothing to do with you. So, their loss. All right, there's a very good point in the comments. Not the a-hole. If they want nothing to do with you or your children, then why should they get to know your address? However, I would take him back to court to get a child support increase now that he's supposedly gainfully employed. Okay, that part. It doesn't matter that he doesn't want anything to do with his children. He married you, caused you to go far into debt, You had to pull yourself out of it without any of his help. Pay up. OP responded, not a bad idea for the future, but right now I don't really care about his money. I get that, but like, get what you're owed, bestie, because like, you're fine right now and your life is thriving, but like, what if something happens, you know? What if something terrible happens, God forbid, and you lose your job or something and you're unable, like, do you want to have to take him to court when you don't have the money to be able to afford it? Or do you want to take him to court now when things are good to set yourself up in case something bad happens?
No one can survive in this world without help. No one.
If you don't need his money, then put it into a savings account for the children. But it really isn't fair for him to just deuce out without repercussions or accountability. Unless he's willing to sign off, give up his parental rights, he has an obligation to financially support the children. So he has been paying some things from what I understand, and it does just go into their savings. I still think that, you know, things are really good right now, but you just never know. I think it would be a good idea. If you don't need his money, then just do it for the kids, because
in this economy,
you're gonna have to support this special needs child for the rest of his life. You know, I understand not wanting to stoop, so to speak, but it's not stooping. Hippie Jim has a legal obligation to help you with your kids. But anyways, I am very proud of you for getting back on your feet. That probably wasn't easy. I still think that you should move in the shadows a little bit. Find out how much money he's making and if it's worth pursuing legal action, getting him to fork out some cash. But you are not the a-hole. It is decided. Am I the a-hole for taking my mother-in-law and ex-husband to court over his family heirloom, which he refused to give me? Ooh! Next case. Now, I think that I might have read this story before, so if you have seen it, I apologize. But we do have a very interesting update where the mother-in-law in this story has made a Reddit post for herself. If you want to hear the story again for a refresh, I'll give it to you. But if you want to skip ahead to the update, I will have the editor put the timestamp on the screen and you can do that. This account is my sister's BFF. She's letting me use this as a throwaway. I am 31 female, and let's call my ex-husband Tom 33 male. We met in college, got married when I was 26. Ever since I was introduced to his family, my mother-in-law has hated me. Your mother's here! She wanted him to marry her friend's daughter. His grandpa approved of me and always came to my defense. His grandpa didn't really get along with my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law didn't like him staying at her house, and also his grandpa had diabetes, so he needed to be taken care of, and she apparently thought it was a burden. After our marriage, we offered for his grandpa to stay at our house, and he agreed.
Say something again. Say one more thing. I will slap you. Say it again.
A few years in to our marriage, Tom and I were going through a rough time, and we were fighting a lot. Mother-in-law would fuel our fight and would visit our house uninvited and would make snarly comments about how Carla was a better match, and I was useless, and I was with Tom for his money. Tom won't take my side ever and be quiet. He would also get mad at me for being, quote, disrespectful to his mom when I would fight back. Pretty sure the disrespect wouldn't be there if there wasn't disrespect dished to you in the first place. Disrespect is not disrespect when it's a reaction to someone else's disrespect of you. He started taking on overtime at work to avoid me, and he was rude to me and his grandpa for no reason. All this time, I had been taking care of his grandpa, and we had a very good relationship. His grandpa, sadly, passed away last year. Oh, let me guess. He left you the heirloom. Got it. Soon after his passing, Tom and I got divorced. While I was moving out, mother-in-law came by and made a comment saying something along the lines of, glad he came to his senses and divorced you before claiming the will that the old man left for him.
Excuse me?
About 2 months after our divorce is finalized, I've already moved out, and I get a call from Tom saying he wanted to meet up. I didn't really want to, but I agreed after some convincing. Well, basically, his grandpa left me 3 jewelry sets, which are a family heirloom. Mother-in-law had no idea about the jewelry sets as grandpa and she didn't get along. So would she have been nicer to him if she knew about the jewelry sets? That's no excuse, literally. If I were to sell the jewelry sets, I would get about $300,000. Now, the real tea is my mother-in-law doesn't want me to have anything and was trying to get me to sign off the ownership of the jewelry sets to Tom. And why would you do that? Sorry, I'm not understanding. What is in it for you? Why would you do that? You also took on the financial burden of taking care of Tom's grandfather, right? I refused to as I was financially struggling and needed the money, so I decided to get a lawyer involved in case something happens. Mother-in-law and Tom and their lawyers left the room to discuss something, and while they were gone, to be on a safer side, I took a photo of the will on my phone just in case. Ooh, they left it in the room with you? Big mistake on their part. Well, after they came back, we talked, and I basically refused to give them a check or the jewelry sets. I also decided to get a lawyer for myself in case something more happens. Well, something did happen. Tell me why when I called Tom to ask when the jewelry sets would be given to me, mother-in-law interfered and said, "What jewelry set? Why would he leave you anything?" I was confused as to why she and Tom were pretending to be oblivious about this. Well, it turns out they A, destroyed part of his will, or B, are hiding it so it looks like I was never given anything. Ooh! Does that constitute like tampering with evidence? I feel like that's not entirely legal, just saying. I get my lawyer involved and a whole crap show unfolded, a shisa show, and I'm taking them to court.
As Queen Skinny Legend Versace boots the house down.
His whole family has been blasting me on social media, and mother-in-law's sisters and family have been calling me and messaging me saying I'm a liar. I'm trying to get something which belonged to my mother-in-law. The hearing is in 2 days. Just move in the shadows, babe. And when you're finished, post a photo of that will so everyone can see. Well, now even my family is saying I'm being selfish and I should just give up now that the papers are gone. So am I the a-hole for taking my mother-in-law and ex-husband to court over a family heirloom? You're absolutely not the a-hole. What do you mean? Update 1. Hearing is tomorrow. My lawyer contacted me today to let me know that I should be prepared, as the photos I took of the will can be brought up in the court as false or fake document by my mother-in-law's lawyer. Not sure whether the lawyer knows about the whole will doesn't mention you thing, which my mother-in-law pulled. Tom called me asking me to back out. I refused. He asked me to meet up, which I agreed to after approval from my lawyer. My lawyer asked me to record the conversation in case Tom talks about the will or anything which can help us tomorrow. Well, Tom started to yell and called me bitch for trying to suck them dry. Okay, what I don't understand here is that you took in his grandfather, elderly and, had medical issues, took care of him out of your own pocket for years, and because you were so kind to him, he made the choice to leave you something in his will. I don't think that you're being selfish at all. I think that you're saying that you're having financial issues, but yet you still chose to help his grandfather. I think that you're just getting what is owed to you. I don't think that that's selfish at all.
You'll never get a cent out of me!
So Tom called me for trying to suck them dry. He slipped about a check which was under my name. This was not brought up before. Ooh, love that. Love that you're recording it. Before I could ask questions, Tom just said, "You won't get anything either way, so let it be," and hurriedly left. I'm sorry. If he wasn't concerned, then why is he trying to get you to drop it? You got him by the balls, my love. I don't know how much the check is signed for, but my lawyer seemed happy about this. Mother-in-law messaged me saying she knows about this post and called me disgraceful for dragging her through the mud and for lying about the will. I think she's gonna make a post to give her side. Ooh, we'll get to that in a second. Update 2, I won. At the court. I knew you would. They were just bluffing. At the court, the main argument by the mother-in-law's lawyer was that my current name is not my maternal name, so the will cannot be given to me. The will has my maternal name, but when Tom and I got married, I changed my last name to his. Doesn't seem very solid of a case, honestly. After the divorce, I applied to change my name back to my maternal name. It's still in the process. My lawyer brought about the will being destroyed and hidden, and the opposition lawyer looked shocked. Yeah, I'm wondering if the lawyer knew about that. He had to have known because it was part of the case. Well, mother-in-law started to cry very loudly, saying all kinds of BS, which got her a warning. We presented the copies of the will, which I took, and made the point again that mother clearly said there's nowhere stated that you get anything. Her lawyer said it was an attempt to persuade me to be thoughtful about mother-in-law and Tom's situation. I don't think he knew about the conversations me and mother-in-law had about there being no will and just made something up to make it sound convincing. Yeah, no, this is not a very good argument. Well, yeah, about the check. Tom tried to speak out of nowhere, but their lawyer said nothing and agreed that there is a check for me. The court ruled in my favor as my name change was in process before I knew about the will. So yeah, in total, I'll get about $200K. I got some other assets from the divorce and I'll also sue them for court time and lawyer fees. Oof. So in addition to the jewelry, you got about $500,000. Eat dirt, mother-in-law! We're wondering if mother-in-law tried to make a post herself. If she has, I'll post a link, as many of you asked. We have the link. Oh, she even linked your post. Am I in the wrong for looking out for my family? I'm the mother-in-law from a post that TR1_Win made. In the post, she has portrayed me and my son as some greedy monsters. I'm writing this post to clear up any misunderstanding that arose. So she links the original post. After my daughter-in-law and my son Tom divorced, all the assets were divided equally, and I know that my son did his best to provide for his family and me. Tree worked as a dentist but never made any actual money. Her contribution to their finances was basically nothing. After the divorce, she sucked him dry by claiming half his assets. Sucked him dry? That's literally just divorce, babes. If you didn't want her to do that, she should have signed a prenup. Welcome to divorce. Try makes me look like a monster. My father-in-law and I did not get along, but it didn't mean that I didn't take care of him. I too needed support and self-time, and I just couldn't fulfill all his demands. My son took his grandpa to his house so I could have some rest. It was not because I wasn't taking care of him, as that girl says. I know for certain that she forced my father-in-law to sign off the ownership of the jewelry sets to her and sign on the check. I know for certain? But do you have proof of that? How do you know that?
What? Oh my God! Who told you?
I don't know. To me, it sounds like didn't force her to do anything. Do you have any idea how difficult the process is to like change a will? You not only have to go through lawyers to change a will, but you also have to pay for legal fees. So it's not just like let's cross this out or like, let's add something in. It's not that simple.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
She was the outsider, and there is no way Tom's grandpa would have known her properly to leave her anything. But he lived with her, and she took care of him for years.
Are you kidding me? Stop it.
After his death, I was shocked to know that Tree was given anything at all. She was also Tom's wife, so what's hers is also my son's. So I asked Tom to call her so we can make things right. But this was after you guys divorced. You guys are like, Tom and his wife divorced. Am I understanding this timeline correctly? That girl refused, knowing how much me and my son are struggling. I had to cut down on expenses, shopping, massages, etc. And the check and jewelry sets would have been a great help. I'm sure it would have been. Dorothy's niece agreed to be my lawyer for free, and I had hope that we would get what's ours. But she refused, saying something about her struggles. She has a job and lives alone. Why would she need $200K?
It's none of your business. It's none of your business.
I think everybody could use $200K. I'm just saying. Let's not compare struggles here, okay? It doesn't matter that she doesn't need it or you don't think that she needs it. What matters is what was written in the will and what she's legally owed. As the last attempt, I tried to get her to give up by saying there was no will. So you're admitting it. You're admitting that you lied. She took us to court over this. At the court, I tried my best to talk to the judge so they know what we've been going through, but no one listened. I'll tell you why they didn't listen. Because you essentially committed fraud by leaving out that very important piece of information. You lied to a court of law and to a judge and said that this woman was owed nothing and she was never mentioned in the will. And she took a photo and proved you were lying.
You got me red-handed. You got me red-handed.
In this argument, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're having struggles or not. That jewelry set and that check is not yours. Maybe if you had been nicer to her, it could have been something that you could have split or something. But you weren't. You weren't nice to her. And she had to take care of the grandpa. She won what was mine and we are struggling. She has no right over anything. I mean, the court would say otherwise. The judge would argue differently. Her selfishness will lead to her downfall. I know God would make things better soon. I hope that I have cleared my name. I also request people to feel some sense in her.
Wait, what?
I think any hope of getting the judge to sympathize with you was pretty much thrown out the window when it was proved in court that you lied and your lawyer lied. All right, let's look at some of the comments. I know where I stand on this. This was very juicy. I love getting like both sides of the story, you know? They're like my favorite. First comment, but she took care of the old man, not you. Agatha responds, I took care of him too. I'm an old woman. Why is it only me who has to make sacrifices? I mean, she was literally under no obligation to take care of this guy. Is that your father or is it your husband's father?
Just call me daddy.
Just saying. You didn't make sacrifices, she did. He's not even related to her and she stepped up, literally. You're a criminal. You are.
You are.
I am not. Learn how to speak with elders. Ooh, Agatha getting spicy. I mean, clearly your either father or your father-in-law didn't want to give you any of his heirlooms or any of the money that he had stashed away. What does that say about you? It says a lot, actually. The comments are so mean. Go cry me a river, you duplicitous bitch. Tried to deny the will exists after showing it to her, lied in court, judge saw through it too, and boo-hoo, now you claim poverty. Karma is a real B word, ain't she? Okay, so is it perjury or fraud that she committed? Either or, it's not good. All right, Agatha, hate to say it, but the jury has spoken. You are the a-hole. Subscribe!